Republicans are happy. Why are they happy? Youngkin won in Virginia, and they think they have a winning message. Family values. We are going to be the party of families and education. And Democrats are running scared. Oh, we've got to do something now to counteract that. Well, you don't have to do anything that you're not currently planning on doing with Build Back Better, because there are the answers to many of the problems that we have. And you know what? Kevin Brady gave an interview today to Stephanie Ruhle that should make us all happy, and we should take this interview and plaster bits and pieces of it to show exactly what the party is all about. Family value, my you know what. Check this out. We'll take it on the other side.
Congressman Kevin Brady. He's a Republican from the state of Texas and the ranking member of the Tax Writing Ways and Means Committee. When it comes to monetary policy, that is on the Fed. I know you think the Biden administration is dropping the ball. They need to pay attention to inflation. What does the Fed need to do?
Yeah, so I think one, stop making things worse. They've really been in denial. I get frustrated with the Fed because I think they've been in a big denial about the labor shortage for way too long, certainly about inflation. I think they're trying to sell this transitory, but it doesn't feel that way.
So what do you want them to do?
Now, so one, stop making it worse would be the first thing. I think this tapering's a little bit of a help, but in truth, they're still pushing Congress to go big on more stimulus spending, and they're not addressing the labor shortage in any way. I get frustrated because COVID isn't the problem with inflation or the labor shortage. That was already present in the economy in a bad way before the Delta variant showed up. But in this new spending package, for example, beyond over $1 trillion of crippling tax hikes, including on small businesses, there are a couple programs that actually discourage Americans from reconnecting to work. The new child tax credit will no longer be tied to earnings, so it becomes a welfare program.
Why does that discourage people? Hold on a second. Why does that discourage people from going to work? Here's an example.
Yes.
I can afford I can afford childcare. It's very, very expensive in the United States. Because I can afford childcare, I can go to work. With the expanded child tax credit, people will be able to pay for childcare in this country so they, in fact, can go out and work. If I'm only making minimum wage.
Yeah. So actually, Stephanie, they're not. Two new studies, one that shows the child tax credit for COVID was spent mainly on retirement and savings. Not a bad thing, but not its intended purpose. Secondly, it didn't reach 9 out of the 10 poorest Americans who don't work, who don't have tax records, who don't know how to interact with the Treasury and the IRS, and so it even missed its mark there. Here's the challenge:
hold on a second. Hold on a second, sir. It didn't exclude those people. If those are people who don't currently file taxes, if they don't communicate with the IRS, it hasn't reached them yet. It's going to take some time to get the process to work. It's not that they were excluded.
But right now, 9 out of 10 are not getting help. Secondly, do we really, at a time we desperately need workers, are we smart to send about 1.5 million people exiting the workforce with the child tax credit no longer tied to earnings or work? This is not the time to be erecting barriers to reconnecting the jobless to a job, just the opposite.
Well, one could argue it's always a good time to lift children out of poverty. I want to talk infrastructure because
Stephanie,
Democrats.
That's the point. It didn't lift it out of poverty. What did though? The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act by Republicans lifted millions out of poverty within a year of being put in place and drove wages up to pay for childcare, for example, among Hispanics, Blacks, women, disabled, in a way we didn't see at all the last time Joe Biden was in the White House.
First of all, the Congressman, Representative Brady from Texas, is a liar. The fact of the matter is the rescue plan brought 50% of kids out of poverty. That is a statistical, mathematical fact. That is a lie that he stated there. And the tax cut that they give, the tax cut scam that we had from Donald Trump, did not do and bring people out of poverty. A rising economic system brought more people out of poverty, not that they did something, because most of the money used by the tax cut scam from Donald Trump went into buyback stocks, which means make rich people wealthier and it gave very little to everybody else. And as prices had increased before the COVID started, people were simply paying that extra money that they got from that little tiny tax cut that a few people got into higher healthcare prices. Do not believe the Republican lie. But Democrats cannot let what Brady just said go unanswered. In fact, they should tag him with that. First of all, he points out that there is a labor shortage. So let's screw Americans. There's a labor shortage. Those private sector people need to have people to work. So therefore, if we, the government, make sure that kids are not poor, if we, the government, give people a stipend just so that they can survive and go to get a job, that somehow many of them are simply going to stay home, and therefore we cannot force them to work. Understand, the family values person says we don't give a damn about families. We only care about business. We don't want to give them social services because business need them. And if we give them social services, they will have a choice. And if business really want them, business has to pay more than social services are willing to provide to keep them sustainable. Understand it. Now, I am not an expert in narrative, but Democrats, if they really want, can hire experts in narrative and turn those two statements that Kevin Brady makes. We cannot give people money because it'll hurt the businesses. We want to enslave the American people to business. So no help from we the people, no help from we the people so that you can work for government for cheap. The second thing that he implies is that, we need to make sure that you can hire these people on the cheap, because the only way you will get them to work for you is if you pay them more than what they can get in services, that they will have the choices to earn more based on what the market, everybody like to talk about what the market will bear. So folks, it is so important going forward. Do not allow this to go unanswered. Democrats, if they do not answer this is the losing mechanism. But Kevin Brady gave them the pathway to not only victory, but to a landslide in 2022. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.